All right, let's go over this quiz real quick. Remember when you're looking for the domain, if you've got a fraction, you've got to be careful about what makes 0 in the denominator. So who cares about the numerator? But factor your denominator, which I saw a lot of you do, and you can see that x can't be -8 or 8 because that would give it 0, okay? And that's undefined. So my domain is everything but this. And the way you would write that is, hey, I can plug in negative numbers, and I am good until I get to -8. And then you would want a parenthesis, okay, because you can't use -8, but you can use everything really close to -8. And then you're going to pick up right after -8. And life is really good, and you can plug in anything you want until you get to +8. And you know you got problems again. So then you can't use 8, but you can use everything really close to 8, like 7.9999999. And then you can pick up right after 8 all the way to infinity. So this one, you know, this one was tricky. But again, it's a take-home quiz, whatever you want to take it. So not feeling really bad about that. Okay, g of 0. Plug in a 0, you get 9. Square root of 9 is 3. If you plug in 5, -5 plus 9 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. If you plug in 10, you get a -10 plus 9, which is a -1. Okay, let me just say, you can't take the square root of -1 and get real numbers, okay? So your answer, if you've been doing Alex or whatever, it should be undefined. Some of you gave me the square root of -1, or you gave me an I, something like that. Okay, fine, but we're only using real numbers, okay? And if you plug it in and it gives you an error, then it's undefined. Okay, is this a function? And you would say yes, and you would say y. Simply passes the vertical line test. That would have been the easiest answer right there. Write the domain. Okay, remember domain is this direction. Okay, it's your x values. And the furthest it goes here is -2, and you use that point all the way to 3, and it's open. So it would be -2 closed, because it's a filled-in point, all the way to 3, parenthesis, because it's an open point. Okay, your range is how high and how low. The lowest point is a -4, closed. I think almost everybody did amazing on this. Highest point is 4, open. Okay, so that's that one. Okay, given the graph below, answer the following. What is your y-intercept? Well, you can see right here that it's at -2. What are your x-intercepts? It looks like it's at 4 and -2. And I'm good for just listing it like that. Some of you were, I was so proud of you, and you listed it correctly. You would say something like this, -2, 0, and 4, 0. And I was like, oh, what good people, okay? Somebody, and I don't remember who, you put this, and I counted that wrong because that looks like either an interval, okay, or it looks like a point, -2, 4, okay, which is not true. So be careful on your notation, okay? Your answer is technically, those are your x-intercepts, right there at -2, 0, and 4, 0. But I would have accepted it just like this with commas, but don't put the parentheses in there. Okay, what's f of 2? Remember, that's your x value. So you're looking for your y value. So I come over here, here's my x is 2. And do you see this point right here? This point here is 2, -2. So my y value is -2. Okay, f of 1. This is your x, you're looking for your y value. So I'm going to go to 1, and there it is. And what is that, a -3? So 1, -3. Okay, find x such that f of x is 2. Now you're looking for your x. This is your y value. So here's what you're kind of thinking in your head. I'm looking for the y value that's 2. So what I usually do is I come up here to the y-axis, and I'm kind of doing this, and I'm like, ooh, there it is. And so what's my x value? -4. Okay. Find x such that f of x is -2. Okay, this is your y. So I'm going to go to my y-axis, and I'm going to go down to -2. Here it is. Okay, do you see that it intersects in 2 points? It not only intersects at 0, but it also intersects at 2. And I'm looking at so there's 2 values here. So you could write it like that, 0 and 2. Okay, some of you I would say a lot of you only gave me one value here, and you had to have them both. Okay. All right, last thing here. This is a parabola, and I give you this as the formula, but look at this. It's gone down 3, okay, and it's gone to the right. What is that, 2? I'm looking through my phone, makes it so tricky. So here's what's confusing. You want to say k of x. This is my new formula that's in red, it's going to be, since it's going to the right, you do the opposite of what you'd think. So you would subtract, and we went to the right 2. This little squared has to go on the outside of the parentheses. Some of you missed this because you put the 2 right here. It's got to go on the outside of the parentheses, and then it went down 3. So it would look just like that. Okay, last but not least, when you have to do these transformations right here, what I typically will do is write out my original points. So let's do this real quick. This is -2, -4. This is my original points. I have 0, 0, and I have 4, -2. This one wasn't so bad, okay? You could have done this without doing any like magic. All you're doing is going up 3. That's what this one makes you do. This one makes you go right 2. Gosh, it looks like that one just on the other page, doesn't it? So you could technically have done this pretty simple, okay? You could have just taken each point and gone, you know, up, what I even say? Gosh, I can't remember. Up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then right 2, you know, and you could have come up with your points that way. Another way you could do it, when you're on the inside here, you know, and you're going left and right, that's affecting your x values. So take all your x values and add 2. Okay, so if I add 2 to that, I get 0. If I add 2 to that one, I get 2. If I add 2 to that, I get 6. So those are going to be my new points right here. Okay, now let's look at your y's. If something's going on the outside, it's always affecting the y values. Since you're going up 3, I'm going to take my y values and I'm going to add 3. So -4 plus 3 is a -1. If you add 3 to that, you get 3. If you add 3 to that, you get 1. These should be your 3 new points. So you should have been right here at 0, -1. You should have been at 2, 3, which is right there, and 6, 1, which is right here. So it should have looked something like this, okay? Notice it should still look exact same shape. It just went up and to the right. Okay, this one, same thing. I'm going to write down my original points, and let me write them down real quick. -2, -4. What were they? 0, 0, and gosh, what is it? 4, -2. Sorry. I'm trying to do this quickly so my video is not very long. Okay, I always tell people to do reflections first, okay? Now remember, if it's on the inside, you're negative, it does reflect across the y-axis. It's going to flip it over on the y, but it affects your x value. So I would come in here and change all the signs of my x. It's not going to really affect him. Okay, this 2, it's on the outside. When things are on the outside, they affect the y. It's going to make it do a vertical stretch. It's going to be twice as tall, so it's affecting the y. So I'm going to take all my y values and I'm going to multiply them by 2. So first of all, I always just copy down, here's my x's. I've already taken care of them. Multiply that by 2 and you get -8. You multiply that by 2 and you still get 0. And you multiply that by 2 and you get -4. So I've got 2, -8, which is right there. And I still had 0, 0, so right there. And I have -4, -4. So -4, -4. I'm looking through my screen, hopefully that's right. Okay, so it looks like this. Okay, now first of all, do you see that this one had a height from the highest point here to the lowest point here? It had a height of 4. This one should have a height of 8 now. So here's a 0 and all the way down to 8. You can tell I'm off by looking through my screen. So it's twice as tall, okay? It shouldn't be any wider than it was. So look at the width here. From the farthest point to the left all the way here to the farthest point on the right is what? What is that, a 4, 5, 6? This should still have a width of 6 all the way from here to here, and it does. So it didn't affect the width at all, okay? This affects the vertical stretch by a factor of 2. All right, let's try this one, last one. Again, I'm gonna write down my points, and here was a problem. These were worth 4 points each, and if you didn't show me any work and your graph was all screwed up, I just really had to take off 4. Sometimes I could take off 2 because I could see that, you flipped it right, but you shifted it wrong, and it just kind of got a little confusing. Okay, I'm gonna write down my original points again. 0, 0, and what was it? 4, -2. Okay, 4, -2.